Hi guys, it's me, Skylar Capri, and today I'm doing my Bath & Body Works summer semi-annual sale wish list. If you guys have been watching my channel for a while and you maybe know my scent preferences, or you're entirely new to the sale, or you're just curious what my collection needs and what I have my eyes on, I'm super excited to share this all with you. That said, if you're returning to my channel, welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. We do all things body care on my channel, so if that sounds like something interesting to you, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Without further ado, let's dive right on into the video. All right, you guys, I'm gonna sit on this side of the screen and put some images up right here. Now, the format of this video is gonna start out with all of the fragrances that have simply caught my eye and from a scent note perspective, sound like things that I would really like. And then we're gonna briefly talk about some of the gaps in my collection, kind of the fragrances or the scent stories or product types I'm looking for. And then we'll end the video with kind of a more realistic look at the individual items I think I'm gonna be interested in buying. Now, all of this is subject to change as I get into the store and smell everything. Hopefully the ones that I'm super excited for that I used to own years ago are just as good as I remember, but I thought this would still be a fun video in case you guys are interested what I have my eye on. Let's go ahead and start with just the list of fragrances, and we're starting with one of my favorites. This has been featured in a couple of those discontinued fragrances that Bath & Body Works needs to bring back, and that is going to be Country Chic. Of course, the packaging I'm putting up on the screen is going to be that travel size collection that I used to own. Now, Country Chic has notes. It says a blend of sparkling lemon, bright wildflowers, and spring woods, inspired by the fresh air and natural beauty of America's countryside. I honestly think this is one of those fragrances that really kickstarted my love of florals. This one is not overly floral, nothing like a rose or a peony or a fresh cut lilacs, but it's just the perfect amount of fresh and floral that makes it super wearable for every day and just a pretty fragrance all year round. Also, I have seen some spoiler images here and there. I'm not exactly sure which is like 100% confirmed and which is not, but I did maybe see that they could be bringing this fragrance back in the packaging on the screen. So that would just be so nostalgic for me. So I'm super excited to get in the store and smell this one. The next one is going to be Cashmere Glow. This is another one I remember being a favorite, and I think this was my first full-size product from Bath & Body Works, and it was one of their lotions. Now, Cashmere Glow has notes of golden peach, exotic berries, and glowing lily petals, indulged with shimmering vanilla and cashmere musk. This is a very pretty, warm, light, creamy fragrance, not overly fruity, not overly gourmand, just that perfect middle. And this is something I really love to wear in August and September. Summer's starting to wind down, but it's still quite warm outside, but you're just not in the mood for any of those tropicals or firecracker pop or any of those summer sweets. However, it's not yet to the point when you want to start pulling out your marshmallow pumpkin latte, your leaves, your black cherry merlots, more of those deeper fall fragrances, and Cashmere Glow alongside things like Beach Nights. I feel like those two fragrances are just perfect for August and September, and I'm super excited to smell Cashmere Glow again. The next one we have is going to be Secret Wonderland, and on paper, this basically has every scent note that I love. Secret Wonderland, it says a sweet, magical blend of luscious strawberries, frosted jasmine petals, and white amber. This one does sound quite similar to Velvet Sugar, and I remember this in more of this like raspberry bottle, I think, or like a fuchsia raspberry magenta bottle, and then it had this really bright like teal vine design, I think, on the actual label. That's what I remember. I'll put that packaging on the screen if I can find it. But I remember liking this one, but I think I liked Velvet Sugar more. That's why I never ended up picking this one up. Or maybe I just own this in a mini. It's been years since this one has come out, but if you guys know me, you know I love Velvet Sugar. You know I love things like White Jasmine, and I just love kind of those strawberry fruity fragrances, especially something like a Ghoul Friend. And this just seems to be a mix of all of those fragrances. So definitely sounds like something that would be right up my alley. The next one we have is going to be another one of those fruity fragrances I have my eye on, and that is going to be lemon pomegranate cream. Now, lemon pomegranate cream says a light as air blend of lemon cream, red pomegranates, and iced raspberries, topped with whitewoods and peony petals. This just sounds so pretty, so light. In my past couple videos, whenever I talk about fragrance stories that I feel are a little bit underrepresented at Bath & Body Works, I have just been talking about citrus and lemon fragrances and tangerine fragrances and orange fragrances and lime fragrances. So I'm super excited about this one. Also, I love pomegranate. So if you're familiar with things like Forever Red, that one has a pretty bright and prominent pomegranate note, alongside things like Midnight Pomegranate. That one definitely has that pomegranate note in there. So I'm super excited for this one. Definitely sounds like something that's right up my alley. Have not seen any spoiler packaging on this, but the original collection, which you'll see on the screen right now, has some of my favorite nostalgic 2015, 2016 Charming Charlie style packaging. If you know, you know. So I'm super excited to see this one return. Now, the last one on my list that I'm super excited about is actually Rain-Kissed Leaves. This one says green leaves, crisp watercress, and delicate petals. And you might be going, Skylar, that's very different from everything else you've been talking about. I just recently finished my aromatherapy eucalyptus and spearmint hand cream, and then in our guest bathroom we have just the aromatherapy body wash. I don't know why, or maybe I'm just like in a mint mood lately, because I almost pulled out my Crush Candy Cane hand soap. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I did end up pulling a more kind of spring summer one instead. I have just been in this more like aromatherapy, more subdued fragrances, not as fruity and in your face, more so of those like spa-like calming herbal style fragrances. I don't know, I just am, and I feel like with Rain-Kissed Leaves coming back, this is one that was super popular for being that style of fragrance, so I definitely want to go ahead and check that one out. Now, regarding my collection gaps, I really have two. The first is going to be scent-wise. Scent-wise, I'm really down on my florals. I seem to have a good amount of citrus, a good amount of berry, I have a couple gourmands, but I am just lacking in my florals, which is crazy because you guys know how much I'm a fan. I am a floral, but I honestly think after I used up the white jasmine and then I'm really close to finishing up that Aurora and the Mini Fine Fragrance Mist, which has a really prominent rose note, pretty much done with my floral. So definitely looking for something floral. And then product type wise, I am a little bit down on my lotions. Now I have a bunch of Lush shower gels. I just didn't buy their lotion matches because Lush usually doesn't make them in the lotion and the body wash. Usually it's just the body wash, so there was nothing to pair with them. And although those are very moisturizing shower gels, you could definitely use them on your own. I do like having a couple of lotions here and there. And also for my little travel size lotion, I always buy the full size and then I'll just fill up a travel size bottle. So I almost like to have like an inventory or like a back stock of like one full size body lotion that I'm just constantly refilling that travel size of. So definitely from a product type perspective, I'm probably good on the shower gels and the body washes unless there's something that like absolutely knocks my socks off. However, kind of in need of some lotions, so I think that's what I'm going to go for. So kind of boiling that down into more of a realistic shopping list out of everything I talked about that I was just interested in, like throwing darts at the board with my eyes closed, now to kind of like really honing in and looking at the actual product types and the scents. I think my shopping list is going to include 3 fragrances. Up first is going to be Country Chic. If it's as good as I remember, I know I just love that one and I've been waiting for them to come back out with it. So I think that is going to be super high on my list. And I actually would be interested in picking that one up in a body wash and a body lotion because my usage on my Lush ones is going a little bit better than I expected. And I might have a big gap next spring. And I feel like that could be something I'd really want to use in the spring. So that is going to be number 1. Number 2 is going to be Cashmere Glow. I just remember loving Cashmere Glow. Perfect for year round. It was just one of those fragrances I was always in the mood to wear. So I have on my little sheet here body wash and lotion. Might only need the lotion. I'm not sure. I'm gonna need to see really where I end my project right now before the semi-annual sale to see what all inventory is looking like. So that one's more TBD, but definitely interested in Cashmere Glow. And the last one would be Rain Kissed Leaves. Honestly, I'm just really into these aromatherapy fragrances right now, and if that's what I like, I know that they're just so mellow and nice that it's not in my face, not headache inducing, not just too much gourmand or too much fruity or anything like that. That's one is just a good reset one. I definitely have my eye on that as well. Now the other ones that didn't get picked include things like Secret Wonderland and Lemon Pomegranate and Cream. Of course, everything is subject to change, but for those two fragrances, I've just really worked my way through a bunch of the Velvet Sugar, which seems to be pretty similar to Secret Wonderland, so I kind of want to break for that one, at least right now. And then with the Lemon Pomegranate Cream, Lush's Rose Jam, which I currently own, is kind of like a rose lemon jammy berry style fragrance. And I think those two might kind of be similar, but again, I'm gonna have to check in store and re-smell everything before I make a final decision. But you guys, that really wraps up this video. I hope this was interesting, kind of gave you some insight into my scent preferences, how I start to build my actual shopping list besides just like what I'm interested in for the sale. And I'd love to hear in the comments down below if there are any fragrances that we have in common that you're looking to buy, or if there's any fragrances that I did not talk about that are coming back as part of the bringbacks that you actually had your eye on instead. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, found it helpful, and I'll see you all in my next one. Bye guys!